Welcome to Shom Machshava on the Daf Shir Sponsor Luinish Basam Yakoshom Le'Abasitzchok. We're holding Metzia Daf Samichtes. The Gemara with Bay says the Rava said, "Shor le'inish le'mimir le'chavrei." A person can tell his friend, "Hey lech dal zuzi." Here's 4 zuz, v'oy svei le'palnyo zuzi, and lend money to somebody else. Why? Ki lo asra Torah le'ribis haba miloi v'lemalvi. Ribis is only when the borrower gives the lender. But if somebody else is giving the lender in order for the lender to give the loan, that's not going to be a problem of Ribis. In the Torah Tmimo and Parshas Behar explained what's the reason. As we start the parak, the Mishnah, the Gemara told us, there is neshech v'tarbis. The problem of Ribis is that there is neshech, you're taking away from the borrower, and tarbis is that you're adding money to the lender. But in this case, the lender gets more money, but the borrower is not losing money. So therefore there's no problem of Ribis, and that's why we hold it's okay. Now there is a shita in the Rishonim. It's a shita which the Mordechai brings the name of Rashi, and the Rama brings in Shulchan Aruch Yerodeh Siman Kuf Samech. And this shita says a tremendous chiddush, that included in this rule that we learned in our Gemara, that Ribis is only coming from Loy V'Lamalve, is that if there is a shliach, if there is a somebody in between, the lender doesn't give directly the loan to the borrower. The lender gives the loan to a third party who gives it to the borrower. And the borrower pays interest to the third party and not directly to the lender. If there's someone in between, so then there's no problem of Ribis. And the B'Sheiseh brings this shita and says that's not the pshat. We don't see this in our Gemara. And what's the idea behind this? Where we find such a thing? And therefore he disagrees with this shita, doesn't bring in la halacha. But the Rama brings this shita, and he says, and there in Shulchan Aruch Yerodeh Siman Kuf Samech, yesh oimim, some say, the mutar le'Yisrael lo'imeh le'chaveiro Yisrael lech ve'alvel mois miploini Yisrael b'ribis. So meaning the borrower tells the shliach, to someone in between, please get me money from a third party b'ribis. Umotar latet achar kach ribis la'shaliach, and pay the Ribis to the middle party. Ribis only if it goes directly from the borrower to the lender. And if there's a shliach, there's no problem. And the Rama concludes and says, don't let Amoritz know that, because I think I do Ribis the whole time. And the Rama adds, some people don't like this heter. And they say it's asur. You could rely on the Esat Tzorich. As mentioned, the B'Sheiseh completely disagrees with that. And the Torah Tumimo, the same Torah Tumimo that we mentioned, brings this shita. It says, where do we have a source to this shita? What's the reasoning for this shita? Because our Gemara only speaks about that there is a third party who convinces the lender to give the loan to the borrower, but not that there's actually interest being paid by the borrower through a third party. Rav Reuven Margaliyos, he wrote a few pieces that had to do with the establishment of law in Eretz Yisrael, how to follow halacha in Eretz Yisrael when you have a Medina, when you have a country. And one of these ma'amorim, one of these pieces, is called Mishpatei Ger Toishav, speaking about the Goyim living in Eretz Yisrael. And there in footnote Yud, he goes on in length and says, he speaks about the fact, we're going to learn Be'ez Hashem in the next daf, that really giving a loan with Ribis even to a goy is not something which is proper to do. And he brings the name of the Barbanel that really should give Ribis only to a goy from Shiva Umois, not to a regular goy. Better not to give Ribis to a goy. So goes on Reuven Margaliyos to explain, but what do you mean? It says in the Torah clearly, as the Gemara is going to mention in the next daf, you could give a loan with interest to a goy. So how can you tell me that giving the loan to a goy is not the proper thing to do if there is interest? So says Rav Reuven Margaliyos, I'll tell you what it means. Doesn't mean to give to a goy. So Rav Reuven Margaliyos brings that throughout the Torah, when the Torah wants to speak about someone who's not a Jew, the lashon the Torah uses is not nochri, but ben nechar. Like the lashon of the pasuk, umikras kesef mikol ben nechar. Or by Korban Pesach it says, Kol b'nechar lo yuchal boy. But the word nochri doesn't mean a goy. The nochri means a stranger. It brings a few rayos to that. It says by Rochel and Leo, they told Yaakov Avinu, Haloi nochrios nichshavnu loi. We're considered to be strangers to him. Le'amnochi lo yimshol lemachro. Regarding ha'amar ivrio, it means don't sell to another Jew, just a stranger. So says Rav Reuven Margaliyos. So what does the Torah mean when it says la nochri tashich? You could give ribis to a stranger. He says the pshat is based on what these Rishonim are saying, very gishmak. You are allowed to give ribis to a stranger. What does it mean, a stranger? If the lender is not giving directly to the borrower, there's no contact between the lender and the borrower. The borrower is considered to be a stranger. There's a third party in between. So then there's no problem of ribis. That is the source that you can give ribis to a shliach. Because it says, you're allowed to give ribis to someone who's a stranger, which you don't know him personally, when there's no direct contact between the lender and the borrower. And then the Torah doesn't mean a goy kipshutoy. It means a stranger. And therefore, to a goy, you should not give to ribis. That's what Rav Reuven Margaliyos wants to say. And this may connect a little bit to the Maharal that we mentioned before, and we'll get back to. That the whole idea of ribis is to create achdus and unity between Am Yisrael. When a borrower comes to a lender and says, please help me out, and the lender goes and takes interest, that brings a separation between them. But if the borrower and the lender never meet each other, there's somebody in between them, so then that maybe is not a lack of achdus as much, based on what Rav Reuven Margaliyos is saying. And this may be the pshat and the Rama, the source of these Rishonim, that if you have a shliach in between, why you could give a loan with interest. Dvarim mechudashim that need more iyun. Anyone who wants to join the Shomachshava email list or WhatsApp group, please email shomachshava@gmail.com.